Hello, and we are live, and let's record the intro. Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 132. Are you focusing on the wrong things?
Yep.
Unfortunately, way too many small business owners are focusing on the wrong things.
It's easy. I mean,
talk about it.
I think it's one of those things that it's one of the great reasons why you should always think about what you're doing at the beginning of the day and before you start, because it's so easy. It's so easy to focus on the wrong things because there's so many things that you can do every day.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. So, Jeff and I were actually talking before we started recording, and they were talking about Facebook again on the news this morning, and all there was a data breach issue. Well, they're calling it a data breach, but I don't really think it's a data breach. Essentially, there was a company that was using an app in order to gather information about people and then sold that information when they didn't have permission to. And so we kind of wanted to talk about how they were gathering that data and how you can protect your data. Stop doing all the quizzes on Facebook.
Yeah. Always think, it's kind of like on your phone, you should be thinking the same thing. Whenever you give permissions to people, which is what you do when you sign up for an app, and this goes especially strong for U.S. citizens. Once you sign up, you've given explicit permission for them to use your data in the U.S. I know that varies across the world, but in the U.S., when you give them permission, because you want to use their app, you give them explicit permission to use your data. And so when you come up and start using these, and I'm horrible with this, is I've been suckered into so many of those quizzes, it's ridiculous. And other apps as well, when you give them profile permission, they are going to data mine you. That's the most valuable thing that you have on Facebook. So be very careful who you share your profile with, people-wise, obviously, but beyond that, application-wise. When you agree to give the app permission to your profile, understand that it goes beyond you. It goes to your friends as well, too. So it's not just you that you're worried about. And I know a lot of people who are very nervous to add friends who they don't know, which is perfectly fine. That's probably a more normal way to use Facebook. But then, they do 13 quizzes and share them with all of their friends, and then their friends do the quizzes. And so now they've actually given up a lot more data than someone would natively see getting friended on Facebook.
Yeah, so I would just be really careful. Like, I always look when I'm downloading an app, I want to know what permissions they're looking for. And if there are any permissions that look kind of funny, that makes me pause before I actually use that app. And then on Facebook, if you're using your Facebook login to log into other apps and other websites, you are sharing all of your data with that company. And so you might want to think twice. I mean, I know it's really easy to use your Google login or your Facebook login. And I'm guilty of this too. And I'm actually going to be going through and cleaning up a lot of.
I think Kristin might have locked up there, either that or I have. So I'm just going to keep going here. But, we're going to kind of go through our own stuff. And we are as guilty as anyone, when it comes to this kind of stuff. So we're not trying to hold anyone in a negative light. We're just trying to say that it is important that you keep in mind what your permissions are as you give them out to people. What are you sharing? It's like I get very nervous. I don't have an Alexa in my home, and I won't get one for these same reasons. Yeah, Kristin locked up. Thank you for letting me know, Deborah. But keep those kinds of things in mind, because you and your data are really valuable. If you want to give your data away, do like Google rewards, and they will actually give you at least a little bit of money for giving them information that they're asking you about. And then you can use it in their app store to buy stuff. So just be thoughtful about that now. I'm going to take a second and kind of start getting into the content here a little bit of what we're actually trying to talk about, which is, 5 ways we waste our time. And, there are 5 ways as business owners that we do waste our time. So getting back here into topic a little bit. And the first way, and Kristen's going to probably want to talk about this more when she gets back in a second, is excessively cutting the budget. And this is very much a habit when we first start our business, is we're very budget conscious, which we should be. I worry a lot about the budget, what we're paying for things, but what we shouldn't do is get so focused on cutting our budget. We end up in this kind of scenario, which is a story I think Kristen's going to want to say right here.
Well, it's interesting because Jeff is still convinced that we make 22 cents a year.
Yes,
so that's always the joke that we play. But it's interesting because I see what.
I didn't know that was a joke.
Okay. So I see, I spend a lot of time in Facebook groups, and there was this one post a couple weeks ago where somebody was talking about trying to cut out a cost. They were trying to switch to a free solution from a paid solution. And it was to save like a very small amount of money per month. The cost of like fast food, per month. And, I just kind of went in and was like, well, why don't, instead of spending all this time trying to, move everything from one app to another, like try to like gin up your sales. Like it's not going to save you that much money. And I think a lot of times business owners, they get in this mindset that like, no, this is the thing I'm working on. This is the thing I'm trying to save or cut or whatever. And you're not thinking about other options for what you can do with your time.
And I just want to frame this in a slightly different way. This is what I want you to think about, right? So let's say you go from like $20 a month, you can get really serious, like your convert kits, your active campaign, really good email service providers. But say that you have 500 people and just want to go back to MailChimp so you don't have to pay for it, and you've taken the time to set up sequences already in your, in active campaigns or ConvertKit, whatever you're using. So let's say it takes you 4 hours to reset those up. That's 4 hours of your time. What's the hourly rate you charge people? So maybe let's say if you're $20 an hour, that's 4 months of ConvertKit.
4 hours. Oh, yeah, 4 months.
4 months of ConvertKit for just converting it over. And that's not including also uploading all of your existing people. Hopefully they all come through. Maybe you do prune off a few that don't actually exist. And now there's nothing wrong with switching email service providers. But if you're doing it strictly to save $20, you're probably going to spend 4 or 5 hours doing that. And that's not even counting going through your website and hooking up all of your opt-in forms. Because, if you get up to 500 people, you have to have some way for them to opt in. So now you have to go find all those forms, make sure they're converted over. If you're in a budget conscious, using a free theme and a bunch of different things to make the pop-ups work, and you have to go individually into all of those and change those settings around so that they're actually sending the new signups to your new host. So, if you start off, and I do recommend, I think MailChimp's a great place to start off. But it's worth converting over potentially when you have to start paying. But that's one of those things for your business you have to look at. But the thing is, if it's strictly for $20 a month, you're probably 4 to 12 months, a year worth of your time just got spent converting all that stuff over. That's time you could have spent using to increase your marketing or anything else in your business that needed to be done, creating that new product, which will allow you to flesh out your sales funnel to make more money. So please do not get caught in the game where you're trying to save $20 at the expense of hundreds of dollars.
Well, and typically when I see people doing this, it's the people that their hourly rate is an hour. And just spending 1 hour on this, you could have paid for your email list for 10 months.
Yeah.
So please, before you start excessively cutting the budget, think about how much time is it really going to take for you to switch solutions, and how much money could you make if you devoted that time to sales instead?
Yeah. Now, what you could tell me to say moving the email list would make sense would be like, well, the email provider I have now doesn't allow me to retarget people who left their cart. So they've gone in, they've added something to their shopping cart, my site, and now they've left. If you're telling me your email service, the new one can do that, well, now you're increasing the chance to scale revenue. That makes a lot of sense. But just to save $20, remember there's a cost to doing it. And like Kristin said, 1 hour, if your rate's $200 an hour, pays for most of that for a year. So find an hour, hustle. Even if you use the phone and spend an hour on the phone to do that, get an hour, pay for most of your year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the second one, and I see this a lot when people are posting, what they're doing busy work.
Yeah.
And it's so easy as a small business owner because you think I've got to do everything myself. We do this, it's just Jeff and I in our business. And so we do everything. But the thing that we try to do is we try to think about how we do things to eliminate busy work. So one of the things that we've started to do is we record, we're doing the podcast live on Facebook. We do our HQ content now live in their Facebook group. That eliminates a lot of the editing for us. And so that saves Jeff. How much time do you think that saves you a week?
I'd say probably like I net an hour a week. Well, for just the podcast. So I'd say I net about an hour for the podcast. And then whenever there's HQ content, probably a little bit more.
And so today we forgot to turn off the phone when we were recording.
Call from 1-860-412-638.
So you'll notice that there is some, it's always fun. So this is what happens when you do live, right? Is that sometimes things like this happen. And I'm sure probably in the final cut, that'll probably end up making its way out of the show. But, so, there is still a little bit of editing, like to remove the phone ringing from the show. But, I think that we need to look at, I see like a lot of people that, and again, this is kind of part of that excessive budget cutting thing. They're not willing to pay for, one of the online accounting systems like QuickBooks Online or Wave, but they're willing to spend extra time to input all their transactions, because they're not willing to pay for the automation. And, again, I think this kind of goes back to the excessive budget cutting is like, how much is your time worth? Right. And I think a lot of us, we don't, we're not willing to set up automations. We're not willing to pay for tools because, you don't value your own time.
Here's a truth bomb for a second, right? If you don't value your time, let's say you charge $100 an hour. If you don't value your time as $100 an hour, do you really think you're going to convince people to spend $100 an hour on you? If you don't believe that hour is worth the time you're charging, your clients will not either. It will come through in the way you deliver your marketing and your messaging to people. It will come through that, it'll leak out over time that, oh, I don't want to do this, because my time is just not worth $100 an hour. But I want to pay for it. It's like recently we were working with a vendor whose initial estimate for us was, we'll say $30,000. Well, I'll just make up a number. That was their best sort of deal right there. By the time they left, it was down to 23. 10 days later, they called back trying to lower it again. And so the problem is that left a really negative perception on my mind for multiple reasons. But one of them is what is their work really worth? And I do believe in sales and deals, and there are ways to do it like, hey, as a thanks, do this now, and I will give it to you at a discount if you're ready to do it now. But that's different than saying, oh, wait, you didn't want to do it for 200? How about 90? How about 90? It's like a reverse auction for your value. So don't take away your worth, because you will start to believe it. It will bleed through into your business, into your marketing, and just the way you interact with your clients. Don't take away what you're worth.
Right. And, and I even see this a lot, like when people aren't willing to outsource stuff around their house. So like their cleaning, their lawn care, if you really enjoy doing that, then that's awesome. And I know people who enjoy cleaning. And there was an article I was
You need some
reading
hobby time,
yesterday.
come on over.
Yeah. There was an article I was reading yesterday that said that people who enjoy cleaning are typically happier. And that's awesome. I am not one of those people. I don't like cleaning my house. I don't like doing the lawn. I know Jeff doesn't like doing the lawn either. It was kind of funny when, so a couple careers ago for Jeff, there was one day that he was outside mowing and he was doing it like to kind of get away. And like, that's when I knew that we had a problem, But and again, I think that goes back to like valuing your time. What is your time worth? And it's even not just time that you're working, but it's what is your free time worth? Mm-hmm. Because if you say, I don't have any free time to relax and take care of myself and do that self-care that I need to recharge so that I can be that business owner that I need to be, then, you're not valuing who you are and what you do. And I think that is a huge problem that a lot of business owners have.
Yeah.
So I really want you to think about that. If you're like, I'm too busy to take care of myself, I'm too busy to work out, I'm too busy, to whatever your thing is, however you complete that sentence. I really want you to think about, are you valuing yourself as a person and your worth? Because I think that's huge.
Okay, we gotta get to the next one. This one eats me up.
Okay. Organizing yourself.
And this is one I've definitely been a victim of. And I know a lot of people have. Sometimes jobs force you to organize yourself to a point where you're spending 10, 20 hours doing project management on something that isn't worth 10 or 20 hours to do project management is, because that's how they say you have to do it. And, for people who are working in jobs and their bosses tell them they have to do it that way, you do it the way your boss tells you to. You might suggest changes, but if they say no, ultimately they're the boss. But here's the great thing about being your boss. You can make systems that work optimally for you. And I know Deborah, who's an HQ member, awesome. For HQ members right now, and soon we'll be offering to more people, with the Focus Master Plan, one of the things I was putting together was a way to organize, in a flexible way that makes you think about what you're doing and the value it has towards your life or your business, and then making it as quick as possible. So you don't spend 30 hours, a week doing task and project management. You want to get that down to very little. I think my goal is I want about 50% of my time focused on my business, like the growth of my business during the business day. 60 would be optimal, 40 would be acceptable. But if I could get somewhere between around 50% where it's strictly doing the tasks, and we'll get to the 3 things that all business owners should be doing. I want my time spent there, not on this other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of people think like, oh, I've got, before I can sit down, I've got to spend a lot of time thinking about where I am and getting myself organized. And
going through my emails.
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do when you're switching tasks is just take a moment, kind of take a couple deep breaths, and you do this real quick. Take a couple deep breaths and then say, okay, this next thing that I am going to work on, how do I bring my best self to that task?
Yeah.
And it's funny because what that helps you do is it helps you clear your mind, get rid of all the garbage that might come along with the last task, and then focus in on who you need to be in order to be successful in what you're about to do. And it takes like a minute to do it. But then kind of focus. So I really like that. So instead of like trying to like write down like, okay, what are all the things I'm going to do and what do I have to do in this next hour? And just kind of like focus in on the absolute next thing that you're going to do. Okay. And go from that perspective. I think it works really well. Okay. So the next one, number 4, is email and messaging people.
The biggest mistake people make, and I used to be one of these people, and I think it was Brenda Bouchard who brought this up. I don't know, probably last March, about a year ago, and it was kind of like a duh moment. Was if the first thing that you do in the morning is hop into your email, you start doing what everyone else wants you to do for them. You do not start doing what's important to your work. Save the email and the messaging for times and days where your brain is less productive. And finding that balance, takes a little bit of time and effort. But the thing is, if you waste your initial time where you're typically the most mentally productive, you should be doing your most mentally hard work as early as possible. Getting to those messages. Now, if there's something important you're looking for, scan through, see if it's there. If it's not, don't look at anything else. Don't open up any other emails. Don't go through your Facebook notifications. Do what's most important to your work when you first start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, like, if you need to put an autoresponder on your email, I know a lot of very successful small business owners who that's how they handle their email until they're ready to deal with it. They have an autoresponder that says, hey, we're working really hard for our customers. So we're not sitting in our email box. So we will respond to your email within 24 hours. Thank you so much for understanding.
And I've seen very clever ones. And this, I think, was Julie Stoyan's email. She actually has marketing. So she says, like, sorry, I'm not available right now. If you want more on this, go here. If you want more on this, go here. So it's a little bit of like, let me get rid of most of the easy questions right away and give people a chance to go buy her stuff, as another chance for a touch for an automated sale. So I think she's brilliant at this kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. And then the last one, number 5, and I think many of us do this, social media for business, maybe.
Dot.
Right.
My dots are maybe the wrong place in the show notes, but really, and so for some people it really is. They're going through, they're posting in every group that latest blog post. Complete waste of time. Don't do that. Create a schedule of when you can post in groups that allow you to post. You might get a little bit of traffic there, but attraction marketing will do a lot more to drive traffic to your site than just posting random posting groups. Most of which, if they allow you to do that, devolve into nothing but people posting their blog posts. So avoid doing that kind of work. And this is also that moment you're going, oh, here's this IQ quiz from some company. Let me go click on that to give them my data. I think, so you can save yourself that little task right there too, and protect your data.
Right. And I kind of put that in the same category as email and messaging. Like, block off, times during the day, after you've done your productive work, for the morning, block off some time to check email, messaging, and social, and then set a timer. And once that timer goes off, you're out. Okay. And maybe have like 2 or 3 of those blocks during the day, but make sure that you're getting your productive stuff done first. All right. So now that we've talked about what you were wasting your time on, let's talk about what you should be spending your time on. So what are the 3 things that all small business owners should spend their time on?
Now, I know right away, all of our longtime HQ members will know this in 3 words. The first one, and this is my personal favorite to do, create new products or content. I'm not a big believer in creating content without a plan. Some types of things do that, but your content needs to be working to your business strategy. But the thing is, how does your content and new product creation happen? That's core work as a business owner you need to do. If you're in manufacturing, it's come up with a new product. So, what are you doing in those features to create new products and services for your business so you can end up making more money, so you don't spend time trying to cut out a $20 a month email service?
Right, exactly. So, today, we are creating content, right? We're creating the Small Biz Life podcast. Tomorrow we'll be.
So tomorrow we will be, I guess we're having internet issues here today, probably in anticipation of our storm tomorrow. But Tomorrow we'll be creating content for HQ. We do a live in there once a week as well too. So we'll be doing one live tomorrow, which is more content development. In which case, then I'll do what I need to do to make that available for all of our HQ members. Finally, and the most important thing, where if you're a newer business, you really need to be focused. You really need to be focused on this next thing. This should be the majority of your time. Once you get one product created, you need to be able to start selling that product as well too. And I think Kristin, is big on the majority of your time focused on sales and marketing.
Yeah, because I think what happens is sometimes, okay, so people look at CDS, right, which is what we call this. And they say, okay, so I can create, I can deliver, and I can sell. Okay, so I'm just going to, if those are three things I need to focus on, then I'm just going to create, 8,000 new products. And I'm going to have the most products that you've ever seen on a website. And then they never spend any time selling, and they get frustrated because they're not making any money. Yeah. So the thing is, it depends on the phase of your business. But, like I tell people, okay, you have to make sure that you have something to sell. Okay. And it has to be something that makes sense. Once you have that first thing to sell, you need to shift your time to selling. Okay. So really what happens is you spend, and I think what happens is people are saying, okay, I'm going to create this $1,000 course, and I'm going to spend all of this time creating this course, and then I'm going to sell it. And I highly recommend that if you're doing a big course, put together your release. So what is it going to look like when you release everything? So kind of put together like a release schedule for your course, and then start selling it. And have the first module done. And then, when you're selling it, tell people this is the rest of my release schedule. Yeah. Okay. But don't spend 6 months to a year developing a product and then go sell it. Sell as you're making. That's
and we've even seen too where, and we've seen a couple of different people doing this where they get together a really good schedule for what they're doing. And that helps a lot in their marketing as well too, because now it's like, wow, this is all of the stuff that's going to be here. And you can see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, as long as you know that you can deliver those products by, at a minimum, the time you say you'll do it. You can be quicker, you just can't be slower. As long as you can do that, you are all set. Because,
trust me, I will tell you that there is nothing that will motivate you to create content like people who are paying you.
Yes.
So if you're one of those people that you've been in development mode for a year or two, there is nothing to get you going like actually having people who have paid you for something. So like if you have a book that's coming out and you can put it on pre-order so that people have paid you for it, it is going to kick your butt into gear to finish that book. If you have a course that you've been working on for a long time and you can't finish it, put it up for sale and get people to buy it and start dripping out content for it. That will get you to finish it. Yeah. Without a doubt. Okay. So to wrap up, let's talk about the 5 things that we can start doing now to stop the cycle. Okay. So this is like that cycle of, doing the wrong things in your business.
Wasting time is the 3 things that you need.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So if you can do it fast, just do it. And I think the first time I heard that, I think it was Michael Hyatt that said, like, if he can do something in less than 2 minutes, he just does it. Yeah. Don't add it to a list. It's going to take you just as long to write it down on the list.
Yes. I think that's a big one for email too. You get those quick email responses like, I'm not doing that right now. If you're already in there, you've already broken your mind, might as well take the 2 seconds to respond to that one email, close it out, exit out as quickly as you can.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Number 2, automate tasks. Look at what I always tell people to do is look at the things that they're doing that they don't want to be doing anymore. Okay. What are things that are eating up your time?
Great place to start.
Yep. And then, then start asking how you can automate these things. And you might have to ask people, if you're in the Small Biz Life community, you can ask there. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that they can automate things. like their bookkeeping, like, their email management. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that will save you time.
And sometimes it's maybe just a click, but that's sometimes just one click, it can, over the course of a day, save you a lot of time. So
Absolutely.
that's where it's good to have something like HQ where you can go in on those things that you're stuck on that you don't even know if you can do better, and ask, because that will save you time to research it as well too. So
Yeah, and Jeff's really good at this. So like, if you're an HQ member, he'll actually go in and do the research for you and try to find a solution.
Yeah.
If you're not an HQ member, go to smallbizlife.com/HQ and check out all the benefits that go with it. Number 3, create email templates. I love this. This saves me so much time because I send a lot of repetitive emails with the same information. And so, and again, if you're an HQ member, if you're not sure how to do this and you want to learn how, we will, we'll give you the resources to do that. But it can save you a ton of time if you've got canned emails.
Yeah.
So
much time. And also, once again, it helps create, if you're doing a larger sales page and you need FAQs, if you get a lot of questions about your product, via email, look through canned responses and go, okay, here's some FAQs I want to put onto the sales page.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like if you've got a product and there's like a billing issue with somebody, you can have a canned email that you select that goes out. Really helpful stuff. Okay, number 4, hire a VA or other outside contractors to open up your time.
Yeah.
So one of our HQ members, her name is Michelle Lowry, and she is a VA. She's absolutely phenomenal, and she can save your business so much time. If you go to smallbizlife.com/132, you can get her link there. You can also go to, you can go to smallbiz.life. This is the new domain, smallbiz.life/132 or smallbiz.life/VA. And that will connect you up with Michelle, and she can help you, look at your processes and see how she can help you save time. So that's pretty awesome.
The neat thing with VAs, don't think of them as like secretaries or personal assistants from like a job, because a lot of them have like real high specialty technical skills. Like some work in sales marketing, some focus on productivity for you and your business. So they cover a whole gambit, and sometimes they give you access to high-end software that you need, but just occasionally for your business. And I don't want to put the money out for. Sometimes if you hire someone to do it, they can use the software for you. And I forget, there was one I know years ago when webinar software was a lot more expensive, who she had copies to it, and then people would go to her to do webinars, and she would run them, do the technical stuff for them, and they'd have access through her software to be able to do webinars. So there's a lot of great opportunities, and if they don't do it, a lot of times they might know someone who does.
Yeah, no. And that's, I think the one thing, and we're going to have Michelle on the show, right?
Yes, in a couple weeks.
Okay, awesome. Because I think the one thing, that's kind of important is that, figure out what you want done and then find somebody who has that expertise. Because the one thing I found, unfortunately, VA is kind of this all encompassing term. But many of them have very specialized skills. Like you might have a social media VA, you might have a website VA who manages all the stuff for your website. You might have somebody who does your Facebook ads for you. You might have somebody that does customer service for you. And so you might not necessarily have one VA. You might have, multiple VAs that you kind of use when you need them.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one is learn to prioritize and say no. I love, it's funny because I remember Brendan said this to us last year. And then I'm actually listening to High Performance Habits, which you can get the audio version of High Performance Habits for free now. If you search on iTunes or Stitcher, or anywhere you get podcasts, you can get the whole audiobook for free, which is pretty awesome. So Brendan says, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And I love that. Because you get so many requests during the day. So you've got to ask yourself, like, is this something I'm really excited to do? And if it is, then say yes. If it's not, then say no. It's really that simple.
The one thing I like to put here is, it's like, some of you are automatically going to be like, oh, I already know how to say no, or I do say yes all the time. And the thing is, people are very situational, so it's like, maybe some people, it's very hard for them to say no to their extended family or friends when they interrupt them during the day, or other people struggle with maybe like their close family being able to say no to, or maybe it's at work itself, like I can't say no to any opportunity I'm ever offered at work. But the thing is, if it doesn't help grow your business in the way you want to, or put your life closer to where you want to be, that's the time that you end up spending doing a lot of really hard work. And sometimes there's maybe even some like monetary gain for it, but you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, and you feel like you're just doing work, and that will not help you out.
And here's one more thing. I think sometimes we say yes to things because we're really excited about the opportunity, and then we keep doing them because we said yes at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to reevaluate your commitments and determine, are you still really excited about this commitment? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, you need to gracefully bow out. Yeah. Saying yes at one time does not mean yes forever. I think that's critically important.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you start thinking about whether or not you're focusing on the right things or the wrong things. And if you have any questions about this, you can start a discussion in the community. You can go to smallbiz.life/Facebook. We're still trying to get into the new domain. It's still kind of odd for me. But I like it. We're going to be using that for all of our short domains from now on. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week.